Greetings everyone. We're going to start with this presentation on helping our kids manage their emotions by asking some simple questions. One being, what informs our parenting? What is it that makes us do and say the things we do and say? What are our emotions that are happening that are causing us to react or respond a certain way? It's more to it than just what the child is doing or saying. We tend to have our own responses to stress, and those often come out in pretty ugly ways sometimes with our children when they hit that trigger button on us. So we're going to talk about some ways for us to handle our own emotions so that we can help our kids through their emotions. Forgive me if I repeat myself throughout this. I am new to video and audio technology. I wish that I could be standing in front of you guys and talking and having conversations with you, but we're going to do the best we can and just bear with me. Hi families, I'm Caroline Mullins. You might remember me from doing some paint parties with y'all in the past couple years. I'm here today to share some information that's helpful when trying to help your teens or your kids through their emotional issues. We definitely are on high demand for that right now. I myself have 2 teens in the house, or almost teen and a teen, and with the uncertainties going on, there's a lot of emotions for sure. And so the first thing I want to touch on is understanding the belief behind the behavior. So kids act out, they misbehave, and we tend to focus on that behavior. We tend to focus on, well, you yelled, or you're picking on your sister, or you broke something out of anger. So those are the behaviors. That's kind of the outcome. But there's an emotion under that. There's an emotion or a need behind that. And if we start to focus more on the need and the emotion, then one, we might become a little more compassionate to what our kids are going through, but we're also going to be a little more successful in dealing with that. Rather than just focusing on delivering a consequence or a punishment, we might help them work through that and prevent that from happening again. Dealing with the belief behind the behavior doesn't mean you don't deal with the behavior. We're still delivering those consequences, but we're using a lot more empathy. You're more effective when you're aware of both the behavior and the belief behind it. And I'll explain. So what does this mean? What is the belief behind the behavior? So that is those thoughts and feelings that led up to the behavior. So you have a child who is constantly picking on their sibling, or is constantly just doing things to get attention. Well, that child's belief is that they need attention. They want constant attention. So this can be really well explained by a mistaken goal chart, and you'll see that in the next slide. So the mistaken goal chart is from Positive Discipline, and basically there are 4 different needs that a child or a teen is trying to obtain, or they're trying to meet their needs. You can usually figure out what the child's need is by paying attention to how the behavior makes you feel. So if you're feeling irritated and annoyed, that generally means that that child's need or that child is looking for attention. We'll go into that more in a little bit, but that's what that is. If you're feeling challenged, that child is looking for power. They need control of something. If you're feeling hurt, if that child has hurt your feelings, that child's feelings are hurt and they need their feelings to be validated. They might be feeling a little revengeful. And it might not be because you did something to them. It might be that their best friend did something and they just need to let it out. And if you're feeling helpless or hopeless about your child's behavior, that your child is telling you, please don't give up on me. I need you to believe in me right now, and I need you to just break this down into small steps so that I can handle this. So that's kind of the explanation real quick as far as the belief behind the behavior. And if we can really try to focus on that and understand and connect with our kids before we get upset about the behavior, we might be able to be a little more successful in our parenting. Thanks. So here is the chart I was explaining in the last slide. And it looks a little overwhelming at first, but I want to try to break it down for you. And as you click through, hopefully my instructions will help you to get a better understanding of it. So you want to start with the second column over, and that is the way you might be feeling because of a child's, in response to a child's or teen's behavior. So if you're feeling annoyed or irritated or worried or guilty, you might be reacting by reminding them or doing things for them so that the behavior will just stop because it's annoying. So the child is actually trying to fulfill the need or trying to has a mistaken goal of undue attention. And what they're really saying and what they're really needing at that time is, notice me, involve me usefully. I need you to give me some direction here. So you can kind of look through that row, and there's some parenting, there's some responses that you could use, redirecting them by involving the child in a useful task, so that they can gain good attention, positive attention. We could ignore, we could just give them a simple look or touch of the hand on their shoulder. That may be a good nonverbal cue for them to stop. And we want to avoid that special service and doing it for them, because if we do it for them, then we're teaching them that if you use this behavior with me, this annoying and irritating behavior, then I'm going to fix it for you and I'm going to do it. So it's sadly, it sounds a lot like training a dog. If you give them a treat when they sit, they know that that's a positive reward. They're being rewarded for that. If you give them a treat when they jump on the couch, then you're training them to jump on the couch. So read through the chart here and see if you can find some examples in your life that this might help you with. So if we can recognize our own emotional triggers And we can learn to manage those by talking through them and coming up with a plan of how we're going to manage those. Then we are modeling behavior to our kids. We're showing them that it's normal to have emotions, it's normal to have emotional triggers, and it's normal to talk through them and handle them without having outbursts, without hurting other people with our words or with our hands. So if we can figure out what our own triggers are and we can work through that, then we're going to be more successful as parents because we're going to be less likely to have those outbursts, and we're modeling that expected behavior. So go into the next slide and look at those triggers and find some that might be hot buttons for you. Write those down and maybe write down a little plan of what you can do to manage those emotions. Again, it's okay to have those emotions. We all do. But what can you do to manage it and cope with it? Well, thank you for listening and watching. I hope that this has helped you and will help your kids through guiding them with dealing with those strong emotions that are completely natural, especially at this time. If you have questions or you want to discuss anything or talk, my number and email are on the screen. You can text me. So I really do hope that you got some good information out of this, and hopefully next time I will be able to see you in person and possibly add a paint party to it as well. Have a great day.